Fans, greetings. I'm your host, Dr. Wolfula, and when I'm not awkwardly spending Thanksgiving with people I barely know because I kidnapped them, I'm here at Camp October reviewing movies.
Listen, dig in, everybody. Dig in. I mean, on the other stuff.
Happy Thanksgiving weekend. Since it's the holidays, the campers are on their Thanksgiving break.
No, sir. The surviving campers went back to the safety of their families. I don't think they're coming back.
Oh, we'll see about that, Goulash.
No, we won't. Half the campers returned home in body bags.
Those were sleeping bags. Those were sleeping bags.
Whatever. Enjoy living in your fantasy land.
Fine, I will. Since it's Thanksgiving weekend, I might as well treat you folks at home to a full-course meal. And by that, I mean another spooky campfire story. And by that, I mean a review of another obscure 80s slasher movie nobody remembers. In this case, Blood Rage, a.k.a. Slasher, a.k.a. Nightmare at Shadow Woods. You weren't a real obscure 80s slasher movie if you didn't have at least 3 different titles. Blood Rage was shot in Jacksonville, Florida back in 1983, funded by local investors and directed by John Grissmer, but the film didn't see release in theaters until 1987 in a heavily cut-down form, going mostly uncut in its later VHS release. Little tip, if you find a copy of this film under the title Nightmare at Shadow Woods, it's the censored version of Blood Rage. Try to find the better version instead. Blood Rage didn't just have a difficult time seeing proper release, it also had production difficulties. Actors originally cast for the film just didn't show up for filming, replacements had to be found last minute, the director John Grissmer had disagreements with the film star, leading to Grissmer quitting in the middle of shooting and having to be convinced to come back to finish the film. But these kind of problems are perfectly analogous to the Thanksgiving holiday. A group of people spend time together, they might not get along completely, but they ultimately get past their differences and make something truly special in the end. In this case, that something special isn't a beautiful feast and memories with people you care about, but instead a sleazy slasher movie titled Blood Rage. But hey, it is a feast of gore. Here's my review of Blood Rage. But first I have a message from my sponsor, me! Pledge to my Patreon today to support the channel, help it continue to grow, and you'll also get access to weekly movie nights every Sunday and archive commentaries if you missed the movie nights live. Just $5 a month to get a movie night every week. Here are the movies I'll be streaming next Sunday. Pledge to patreon.com/Dr. Wolfula if you're interested in my bonus streams, and I thank you in advance. Blood Rage is an early 80s slasher movie made in the wake of John Carpenter's Halloween to capitalize on that film's success before it became evident that in order to really hit with audiences, you need a larger-than-life villain like a Michael Myers or a Jason Voorhees, icon material. A lot of early 80s slasher movies instead typically dealt with average human villains who had traumatic backstories and mommy issues.
You are just like every other lady in my life.
And Blood Rage is no different in that department, as it begins with a flashback to 1974 at a drive-in not unlike the ones that this movie first played in. And much like in real life, seeing a movie at this drive-in is just an excuse to fuck out in public to the point where Ted Raimi hangs out in the bathroom condom dealing. It's not much, but it's honest work.
I like choices.
Amidst the crowd of 20-somethings you expect to be fucking at a drive-in, of course, there's something a little more depressing in the mix of fornicators. A middle-aged mother, played by the chick from Mary Hartman, necking with some dude. Nothing wrong with that. The depressing thing is that she brought along her twin sons, who are asleep in the back while she's fucking.
Mom's at it again.
Or so it seems, as the two brothers Todd and Terry Simmons slink away. They've seen their mom get railed more than enough. They want to see somebody else fucking for a change. Terry finds a hatchet and a couple screwing in a nearby car and takes the opportunity to become the ultimate cockblock by blocking this guy's cock for all eternity. I guess it's better for that popcorn to be covered in this guy's blood instead of his nut butter. Honestly, she was probably going to run away naked and screaming out of the car, even if her boyfriend wasn't violently murdered.
I thought I heard somebody scream.
Terry's twin brother Todd is traumatized witnessing the murder, so Terry takes advantage of Todd's sudden catatonia, pinning the killing on Todd. Which is horrible. But hey, these twins had a better childhood than Cole and Dylan Sprouse.
Dr. Berman's patient consultation notes.
A decade passes and Todd has since been institutionalized and looking like the average Connor O'Malley character. On Thanksgiving, Todd's mom Maddie visits him at the mental hospital, and okay, she looks exactly the same after 10 years. They could have given her gray hair or something. She has 2 adult sons now.
Happy Thanksgiving to you.
Same to you, Miss Simmons.
Todd has emerged from his catatonia, revealing that Terry was the actual killer, and Todd's therapist, Dr. Berman, has become convinced of Todd's innocence.
The trauma of watching his twin commit murder had made Todd catatonic.
Something that Maddie isn't quite willing to accept after 10 years.
What, are you crazy?
And the pumpkin pie she brought doesn't make the situation less uncomfortable like she hoped.
Get me out of here! I never killed anybody!
Meanwhile, Todd's twin Terry has been living his best life as a total Chad. A total Chad with a receding hairline, but a Chad nonetheless. Like another fellow football player, he got away with murder like the late great OJ, and is one of the most popular dudes in this group of adults who all live with their parents at this apartment complex. This movie pretty accurately depicted the average millennial's life today.
Listen, everybody, let's go for a swim, huh?
Yeah,
Come on, Karen,
let's go.
Despite Todd being a no-show on account of his extreme mental illness due to gaslighting, the Simmons family still manages to have a happy Thanksgiving dinner without the absent twin brother, as evidenced by the group all laughing with absolutely no context. We're all having fun. The Simmons matriarch Maddie and her beau Brad, the landlord of the apartments, have some good news.
You tell them.
We're gonna tie the knot.
Married.
They're gonna tie the knot. They're getting married. This isn't such good news for Maddie's murder-prone son Terry, though, dressed like the largest little boy. But Terry handles this news on the outside pretty well.
Here's to the new family.
In a condescending sort of way.
Well, seeing as how we have a new head of the family, I think it's time you started pulling your own weight around here.
To add on to the bad news for Terry, Todd has escaped from the mental institution,
Did he run away?
putting everyone in danger. Not really, though. Todd didn't actually kill anybody, but only he and Terry know that. Everybody else is really worried about what Todd will end up doing to them, which is nothing. He's just kind of aimlessly wandering around until he gets to the Shadow Woods apartments. But everyone thinks Todd's a crazed killer when the crazed killer has been under their noses the whole time, as Terry goes on a rampage, killing everyone he can at the apartment complex, while his mom mostly just stress eats Thanksgiving leftovers on the floor. What a fatty. Blood Rage is a pretty great example of the slasher genre's early years of popularity when filmmakers were figuring out the formula of Halloween success. You had some movies that tried to make their own masked boogeyman of pure evil, and then you had movies that were much more like a gorier version of Psycho, where the killer is just some nutjob fucked in the head with mommy issues, or with some traumatic backstory that pushes them to kill. And then you had movies that were something between the masked boogeymen and Mama's Boys, or essentially whodunit mysteries. The Friday the 13th series was an early slasher success, but you can see them figuring out the slasher formula that can get the most success across the first 3 movies. The first film's killer is a nut job. The second's is a mama's boy.
Jason, Mother is talking to you.
And then in the third, they settle on making the killer more of a boogeyman figure, with the mama's boy stuff much more internalized, because admittedly, having a certain level of vulnerability and sympathy surrounding a villain you're supposed to be afraid of kind of makes the villain lamer. It compromises their scariness. I really am an appreciator of this early era of slasher movies where the villains tended to often be head cases, but that approach to a villain doesn't tend to resonate with audiences as much long-term as an embodiment of pure evil. I'm a defender of Halloween Ends, but setting aside it's the end of a trilogy, it's a good modern example of the early era of slasher films. A knockoff Michael Myers emerges who is more human with mommy issues, and audiences reject him, preferring a tougher, uncompromisingly evil boogeyman. With this in mind, it's understandable why Blood Rage was shelved for 4 years. Things were shifting in a certain direction for the slasher genre, and it was harder for a movie like this to find its place and stand out. Harder to advertise a slasher movie where the villain is just some dude with a mullet and have it compete in a theater showing a Jason Voorhees or a Freddy Krueger film.
Just tomato juice.
Sure?
I don't drink.
All that said, what makes Blood Rage worth watching is that its killer isn't who you typically think of as a slasher movie villain. Terry is just fucking weird.
God, that's horrible. How do they show that on TV?
When he snaps again, he acts like he's getting ready for a date when he's really planning to fucking kill everybody he crosses paths with, starting with his soon to no longer be future stepdad, Brad, giving us the origin story for Thing Adams. Because Terry is mistakenly believed to be the good twin, nobody suspects Terry of killing people or that any killings are happening.
Find Brad. He's probably out looking.
Even Todd's therapist, Dr. Berman, who arrives unannounced with a tranq gun-toting orderly looking for the escaped Todd, doesn't suspect that Terry is up to anything nefarious.
Don't worry about the gun. It's only a tranquilizer gun.
Even though she believes that Terry is actually the evil killer twin, Dr. Berman is too preoccupied with locating Todd until it's too late for the bumbling orderly Jackie here, who I bet wishes he tranked this psycho when he had the chance.
You want a hit?
Sure. Thanks.
Also forgetting that if you smoke weed in a horror movie, you gotta die. And Dr. Berman ends up joining her subordinate when Terry makes her half the woman she used to be.
It's not cranberry sauce.
Yeah, it's not cranberry sauce, it's fucking human blood, dude! Terry washes the not cranberry sauce off, but you can see the actor's wearing a swimsuit during this shower scene. I guess he's a never nude. There are dozens of us! What makes Blood Rage interesting is that usually when you have a slasher movie of this nature, once the killer goes into murder mode, they stay in that mode until the movie's over, or the film treats the identity of the killer as a mystery. Like you're not sure which twin is actually killing people, or if it's even both, or none, or they have some other convoluted twist ending. Hell, the movie tells what could have easily been revealed to be the sleepaway camp twist ending in the opening. The twin that's an escaped mental patient is innocent. The one we thought was good was the evil twin all along, like Bart and Hugo in that Treehouse of Horror episode.
That means the evil twin is, and always has been, Bart.
Blood Rage is totally transparent about what's going on from the very beginning, though. It doesn't hide anything from you, and that ends up being its own kind of fun, where we know who the killer is, but the characters don't. It creates this tension where the characters are in danger and they don't know it.
I don't like to talk about my brother Todd. It gives me nightmares.
They're comfortably hanging out with the killer even, and Terry has fun with this himself. He'll kill some characters in one scene and slip into schmoozing on some of the blondes lusting after him in another. Or he'll just jump scare his friends, afraid he's his brother Todd.
It's me! Oh, God damn it, it's Terry!
When they really should be afraid of Terry himself. It's not clear when Terry's going to actually kill somebody, and even when he's trying to kill characters, he acts like everything is normal. He treats it like a game.
Sharon! Can we talk?
The movie's called Blood Rage, but really, Terry's never angry.
He's no fun at all.
He's the most gregarious slasher villain I've ever seen. He couldn't be more casual, chill about killing people. Though ironically, he's not really into Netflix and chilling.
What are you doing?
The movie never really explains why Terry is evil. He has a low-key Michael Myers thing going for him in that regard, but I think you can read between the lines and figure out what his deal is. He jealously wants his mom to himself. When he sees a dude get close to his mom, it causes him to snap. When Terry kills that first guy at the movies, it's very likely Terry imagined he was killing his mom's boyfriend at the time, and with his mom getting married and his brother escaping a decade later, potentially getting closer to their mother, Terry takes the opportunity to just kill uninhibited and pin it all on his brother again. If it worked when he was a kid, it can work when he's an adult.
I know you believe me.
Mark Soper, playing the dual role of Terry and Todd, is a bit of a mixed bag. He's no Eddie Murphy.
Got totally out of his mind. He's killing people all over the complex.
The twins do feel like distinct characters, though, the outgoing Terry juxtaposed against the withdrawn Todd.
Terry, who's crazy, he's killing people.
Soper's performance isn't amazing, but it feels like the makers were aware of this. They don't have him punch above his weight class as an actor. Soper as Todd is subdued, and Soper as the murderous Terry never goes over the top maniacal.
Terry, what's the matter with you?
The movie just doesn't make much of an effort selling Mark Soper as twins, though. The film doesn't make me feel like they really are physically two different guys, with a moment where they're together early on, and when Terry and Todd do meet, they're either in separate shots or the movie uses some unconvincing body doubles wearing really shitty wigs.
Bad boy, Todd.
Todd just doesn't have enough going for him to feel like much of a character, admittedly.
I've lost my cat. Have you seen it?
Cats have a way of finding their own way home.
He's a sulking, ineffectual character. He should be the hero we're rooting for, but he's just a bummer. He doesn't grow through any of this. He gets the opportunity to get laid when Karen thinks he's Terry.
I want you to make love to me. You're shocked, huh?
And he blows it by saying he's never kissed a girl.
I'm not Terry. I'm Todd. I've never kissed a girl before.
Todd fucks everything up, leaves the characters to die with Terry, like Artie here, who gets a neck full of carving fork.
It's not cranberry sauce, Artie.
Okay, we get it, it's not cranberry sauce, shut the fuck up!
It's not cranberry sauce.
Blood Rage has a pretty unique setting at the Shadow Woods apartment complex. Usually, slasher movies take place in the suburbs or out in the wilderness, but Shadow Woods is something in between. It's a neighborhood, but it's a lot more wide open and empty during the holidays. At several acres, it's remote, like it's the wilderness, but it has modern amenities like a tennis court and even an indoor swimming pool where not a lot of swimming is going on.
You stop that.
But Terry takes offense to this egregious violation of swimming pool rules.
Bad.
We also get some glimpses into the soon-to-be-ended lives of the other tenants of this apartment complex. The movie's ahead of its time, depicting young adult men obsessively playing video games while their bored girlfriends drink, barely being acknowledged by their boyfriends. Timeless.
Girls having a good time back there?
Oh, sure. Just talking about the bad old days when guys were horny all the time.
And the movie even has the typical fake-out where characters are pranked into thinking murders happened, but it's really just elaborate makeup they really very quickly applied. Putting on makeup is so much better than having sex.
Talk to you later.
It worked. I don't believe it.
An infant is even put in danger as one of the girls has to babysit for the night. The mom eventually returns home with her date Mayor Pete, though, and I guess this apartment complex is filled with desperate single mothers.
Here I am.
I gotta move here.
What are you doing up there?
On second thought, maybe I don't want to move here. I have to admit, too, for how obscure Blood Rage is, it has some really great gore effects, especially for such a low-budget, early 80s horror movie. I can't recommend enough watching the film in its uncut form.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Speaking of which, let's cut to the chase and talk about the ending of Blood Rage. Karen catches up with Terry wielding a machete covered in not cranberry sauce, which kinda takes Terry off guard.
Let's just go to your house and call the police.
Call the police.
So he cuts this awkward situation short by trying to cut Karen up. And in her desperate attempts to hide, she just ends up stumbling on more of Terry's handiwork, Terry's non-violent but just as sketchy twin, and a newly orphaned baby that Karen has no choice but to try to rescue. Great, now the kid's gonna have a Karen for a mother. Meanwhile, Maddie has been spending the whole night calling her fiancé Brad for help until eventually she decides to meet him in person for assistance. But Brad's got a lot on his mind, or out of it. Man, if only this happened to all landlords. Karen heads to the safety of the well-lit swimming pool. Terry will never find her. Oh, never mind.
Oh, God.
But luckily, Todd arrives to save the day, but he might as well not be there. Todd's fucking useless. He can't even load a gun right. Todd might as well just drown and put himself out of his misery. Well, lucky for Todd, his Deus Ex Mamica arrives to save the day, killing her evil son, and she made sure her gun was actually loaded.
Oh my God.
This seems like a sort of happy ending with the mother vanquishing her evil son and reuniting with her good son, except Maddie thought she killed Todd, the son she fucking hated.
Todd is gone.
When she really killed Terry, the evil son she liked.
I'm Todd.
No.
It makes things kinda awkward, and like anyone else, Maddie just can't live in a Terry-less world as she blows her fucking brains out in front of a baby. So it's still kind of a happy ending. Oh good, the police are arriving just in time. Blood Rage is a wacky slasher movie that really has to be seen to be believed. It's a bad movie, but it's a really good bad movie. It's never boring, it's pretty short, there are some cool kills, and a very unusual approach to a slasher villain, but at the same time, I can't help but feel its premise could have made for a legitimately good movie instead of an entertainingly bad, funny movie. There are some interesting ideas, but the execution just isn't there, and it ends up being comical and ham-fisted, but hey, it's still a fun time all the same. I give Blood Rage a Todd out of Terry.
It's not cranberry sauce.
So, sir, what are we going to do for Thanksgiving?
What are we going to do for Thanksgiving? I'm going to be enjoying a warm meal surrounded by friends and family. You're going to be staying right here to finish shutting down Camp October. Make sure nobody steals any shit while I'm gone.
When are you going to come back for me?
I may or may not come back. We'll see, I suppose. In the meantime, I hope you folks at home had a happy Thanksgiving.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving,
Dude, shut the fuck up. Nobody wants to be wished a happy Thanksgiving from you.
Oh, okay.
This video is made possible through the pledges of my Patreon supporters, and I'd like to give a very special thanks to the kind folks pledged to my shoutouts tier. All of the support on Patreon means a lot to me, and it helps my dark influence continue to grow. If you like this video, like it, and if you loved it, click the subscribe and bell buttons for more vids. Be sure to also keep in touch by following me on social media at Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Dr. Wolfula. While I still have your attention, consider pledging to my Patreon to support the channel and get bonus content like previews, VIP Discord server access, private movie night streams, and credits in videos. Consider pledging at patreon.com/Dr. Wolfula. Also, check out official Dr. Wolfula t-shirts and other merch on tpublic.com/user/Dr. Wolfula. Thanks for watching. See you all next time. Dr. Wolfula signing out.